These are the Commander cards most worth buying for the month of May.
I'm your host, Joe Cherries.
I'm your host, BZ, and that makes us the Nitpicking Nerds. We're just here to chat with you. If you wanna take our relationship further, there's a Patreon. You can send us money, and then we'll say, hey, that's pretty cool, and we'll send you something cool back.
Yes, we'll love you as much as we can without making you uncomfortable. Seriously, your direct support really helps support this channel and us as human beings. Cool Stuff Inc. is where you can go to support us and get 5% off using code
NERDS.
Using code
NERDS.
Using code
NERDS.
And as long as you use code NERDS, then you will be supporting the nerds and get 5% off your order using Cool Stuff Inc. They have singles, they have your sealed product, they have everything you could possibly want.
And Dragon Shield has 2 websites. One's an EU and one's a US link, and they're both in the description. You can buy sleeves from the best sleeves in the multiverse
Good sleeves.
website, and they're going to be great, and you're going to support the channel at the same time. And guess who's back, Cherries?
Back again?
Yeah, Moxfield's back. See you in the middle of the video for an ad you won't be able to predict.
Yes.
And happy birthday to everyone.
And just because I know people forgot, and there's new fans every day, make sure to guess what the Moxfield ad will be randomly in this video. Put your time code guesses in the description. If you get it correct, we will like your comment, we will pin your comment, and we will, or more likely, we'll think you cheated because you probably cheated.
So Most Worth Buying is our monthly series where we talk about cards that we think are not worth speculating on or anything. They are worth buying for Commander decks, assuming you have money to spend on Magic cards. These are good deals, we think. They are more than worth their dollar amount in power per game.
Yes, this is when you spend, let's say $20 on X card, it'll be worth $20 in your deck. $20 good for whatever Commander deck, as long as the deck actually wants the card. Don't just throw these cards in random decks. You need a deck for the card, and then it'll be worth the money. What's the first card, BZ?
It is Coat of Arms, which is a $16 5-mana artifact that says all creatures get +1/+1 for each other creature on the battlefield that shares a creature type with it. Can you guess which deck this goes in?
It's not just one deck. It's every single tribal deck. It's one theme, yes. So if you're playing a tribal deck, this is one of the best finishers, period. Now, there are certain tribes that don't want this. Your dragons, where you're playing a bunch of big ones. Your angels, where the whole thing is make a bunch of really big angels or really big dragons. Don't play it in those decks. But most tribes want to play a million versions. Your elves, your humans.
Vampires.
Zombies. There's so many zombies. You want to make a million, go wide. Make every single one of them a lethal threat so that you can just put the game away with Coat of Arms. $16 is well worth it for this card, as it will be one of, if not the best finisher in any tribal deck.
It's basically an overrun. If you have 5 creatures in play and they all share a type, assuming no other creatures are controlled by anybody of that type, you get 20 power.
Yeah, exactly. And that's simple. I mean, the decks that are playing this card are not just going to get 20 power. They're going to get somewhere. You're often going to have 10 plus creatures in the battlefield. You're going to get 100 power in the case of 10 creatures that share creature type.
Next, we're going to a brand new card, more or less. It's Fairy Mastermind, sitting at $9. Everyone's kind of pretty hyped about this card, and when I see a card that asks nothing of you, it says just play me in your deck, your blue deck. That's what you need to be doing, is play blue, and I'll pay you off pretty significantly. I look at a $9 price tag and I go, wish I would have bought that when it was $7.
Yeah, and that's going to be the story of this card for a while until it finds its price point. Like, it's in 2 months, they'll probably be $11. They'll probably be $15 eventually. This is a very good Magic card that I think is just, for me, feels undoubtedly good. Like you said, it doesn't ask anything of you. Like we said at the beginning of this video, you need a deck to put this in. What deck is that? A blue deck. It's not really a lot. This card draws cards just from your opponent's drawing cards, and that's going to happen almost every single game. And on top of that, when you can use this ability as like this fallback. It's gravy. That little ability in there is gravy because this card is almost just as good without that ability.
Right. So a lot of people have kind of pooped on this card too, and compared it to Smuggler's Share, which started out really high, exploded, and then it settled at its price point where it ended up being only $8 good. This card is definitely similar, but it's also got a lot of different things going on where it's a creature, it's cheaper, it has flash, it has a built-in way to force people to draw cards. I think it's going to play out differently.
I think it's incredibly important to remember that putting this on a creature is a huge upgrade. We talk about it all the time. When you take an ability that might even be medium, it's like Regrowth as an ability is just kind of medium. You throw it onto a creature and suddenly it's so much better.
All of a sudden you got a staple.
This is a 2-mana card. 2 mana with flash, no investment, not asking you to build your deck in any specific way. I would be shocked if this card ends up not being amazing. I've already played in the deck. I've already drawn 2 or 3 cards from it just from doing nothing.
Yep, we're going to be testing it out more in Minneapolis, which we are going to very soon. So we'll have even more things to say about it after that. Next, Hullbreaker Horror. My God, this card is so good. It's 7 mana. It's a 7/8. It's got flash and it can't be countered. And whenever you cast a spell, you return a spell or a permanent, not permanent, to its owner's hand. I actually just played this the other day, and it dominated the entire game until it was answered like 7 turns later.
Yeah, this card absolutely takes over games. You need to want a big, giant, over-the-top threat, obviously, and then in those positions, this card's amazing. And when you play this with a lot of instants or cards with flash, nobody can play anything. Your counters
just can't. They look at it and go, I can't play Magic.
Anything that matters is just going to get countered, but not actually kind of bounce back to their hand. So when they play like a Supreme Verdict, you can bounce that back to your hand because this card does not actually counter.
Yeah, and this card is $4. Like, this is one of the most worth buyings we've ever seen. Is really, really cheap. It was almost a budget bomb at a certain point. And this is like a control finisher. If you have a flash deck, I have it in an Oscar deck where everything's madness and instant speed. Like, that's even better. Just reanimate this. Go for it.
Yes, this card stayed low because they reprinted it immediately. Like
Precon, yeah.
Well, within like 6 months of its release, they just gave it another print in a Precon, which was awesome. I love to see that for more standard cards.
But it's also in double feature, which not a significant thing, but it's still extra cards out in the world.
That doesn't affect it.
I'm going to say that affects it in some way.
No.
Yeah, there's only 5 double feature boosters open.
That sounds right.
What's the next card?
Next, we have Uba Mask. This card is $9, and it is hyper specific, but this card is very good. 4 mana artifact. When players draw, they instead exile the top card of their library, and they can play it until the end of turn. So it turns every draw that happens during the game into an impulse draw.
Every single one. This isn't no Urabrask.
Exactly. Everyone counting the draw stuff. Counting, the Skull Clamp draws, any other, the Fairy Mastermind draw.
Heuristic Studies and Mystic Remoras.
So when players drawing on other players' turns is very weak, so any instant speed draw that they're going to be playing is not going to be good because they'll be drawing and then it has to be an instant in order to play it. This is just a mini little stacks piece that ends up hating out on decks that look to draw a ton of cards and keep their hand refreshed because it puts them into the situation where it's like, play it now or lose it for the rest of the game.
It's like, oh, you're the Monarch? That's cute. What do you got to go on your end step?
Yeah, exactly.
What do you want to play on your end step?
It pretty much removes the monarchy.
This card is really, really annoying, and it needs to die.
Yeah, exactly. And I think this is an absolute staple of Faldorn decks. Absolute staple of...
any impulse draw, right? Even Liara Porter can use this.
Yeah, there's other ones, too. The impulse draw decks are just becoming popular, even in the spoilers for Aftermath.
PNLR.
Pia, and there's another one. That's like Esper.
The Esper one.
Or, I don't know. But
it's the Esper one.
I don't know. It's another legend. Impulse Draw is just an archetype now for Commander, and this card is a staple of those archetypes.
Yeah, I'm really excited I would be excited to play this and just never pay for Ristic or Mystic and just watch them squirm.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I won't pay. You want an Impulse Draw card?
No.
All right, let's move on to the next one. It's a card BZ plays, and I've seen a lot of it. It's Astral Dragon, currently $4, 8 mana. When it enters the battlefield, make 2 copies of a non-creature. It's such a weird card, and they become 3/3 dragon. So you can just copy some weird enchantment, make 3/3 dragon versions of them. This has infinite combos. So this card, if you have what do you need on the field?
Cursed Mirror.
Cursed Mirror. So Cursed Mirror, if it becomes a Cursed Mirror, becomes a copy of the dragon.
You need any non-creature that enters as a creature.
Any non-creature that enters as a creature. Sure. So in that case, you will just go infinite. And on top of that, this card is a value engine. When you copy things that give you extra draw or just... There's so many. Thoran Dynamo, so that you're going to untap with an extra 6 mana. There's so many non-creatures that when you just get 2 of them, which this is just make 2 copies of a card, are amazing. Combined with the fact that this is a combo piece, just takes it from it's a good value piece, it's a double clone, whatever, it's not that good, to just a win con now.
It's it's $4 and... I did get to live Magical Christmas Land Lulude. I made 2 Portal to Phyrexia dragons, and that's just obnoxious.
There's a million of situations like that. There's a million really big, really giant. You spend 8. It's let's just say
Ristic Studies are going to be out. The Smothering Ties. You just really okay. You got a board wipe because if you don't, I got 2 of the best thing in play.
Exactly. It's just it can be anything. There's so much. Mind's Dilation is absurd. Even
Ooh.
It's there's a million and one cards that this thing copies, and as long as your deck wants this effect, it's going to be absurd because. When this card belongs in the deck,
like dragons or tokens or something like that,
it's always going to play absurdly strong.
Just like brand new card, Excise the Imperfect, it's $4 and it's 1 white to exile a non-land permanent, and they get to incubate X, where X is its mana value. Cool. It's kind of like Generous Gift. You pay an extra white pip, but the trade-off is you get an exile. So that's already pretty close. I like exiling a lot. And the token might even be less relevant than a 3/3 because it's not on board right now. Maybe they can do something with it, but it's basically nothing.
Yeah, it's not a lot. I mean, it's a vanilla creature that they have to pay 2 mana to flip into a creature that can attack. Will it be relevant? Some percentage of the time, of course, it will be relevant.
But I've never just had like 2 mana sitting around to go, wow, I'd really love to make a 4/4 that can attack this turn.
Yeah, I think that the situation is going to be like, it'll be a 5/5/6/6 sometimes when you exile something really big, and then there will be situations where someone is open. So it'll be like, hey, I can pay 2 mana to do a free 6 damage, and that's when they're going to flip it mostly.
And you can always keep an eye on that too.
Yeah, exactly. So you can plan for those situations. This, again, it's an exile effect. This is instant speed. This is a premium removal spell. 3 mana getting rid of anything is where we want to be. That's like the rate for where we want to be. So we'll take this one. This is another one. This is an exile, so we can hit on those dice triggers, those aristocratic type effects that we want to get rid of.
And it's a precon only card, and those always scare me a little bit because every once in a while, a card from Commander 2017 is just $20 because it goes in some random deck, and this kind of can go in any deck.
It's tough to know what's going to hold value in a precon and what's not going to have value in a precon. It really is tough to know because if you had told me what's going to hold value from the Baldur's Gate precons, I would have never guessed the 3 mana draw, make it 3/2, and
like Black Market Connections.
Yeah, I would have never guessed Black Market Connections was the card that was going to hold all the value from that precon.
Right. I mean, other people did, but that's a different story. Let's go to Sidisi Undead Vizier. This is a 5-mana tutor. It's 3 black for a 4/6 Death Touch. ETB, you can sacrifice creature. If you do, just go search your library for any card. This is an $8 tutor. So as far as tutors go, kind of cheap for dollar-wise, but it's kind of expensive mana-wise, and we really have talked about we don't like to play Runescar Demon, but shaving 2 mana off of it definitely changes the equation a little bit, and I think if you're looking for tutors and you have a creature deck, this is a pretty good include, and I would definitely play it over Runescar.
I think it's important to remember that this card is, like you said, 2 less mana than Runescar Demon, and you're playing a deck where you're going to have stuff to sacrifice that isn't going to matter. Like, the decks that are going to put this in will always have a Satyr Wayfinder. They'll always have some dorky little token to get rid of, and it's super important to remember that. Yes, this is overcosted for a tutor, but it's on a body. So in your deck that wants to play 40 plus creatures, instead of putting in, some other random tutor that is going to, maybe be a little more efficient, we can put it to a creature and get more synergy in our deck to make our deck just function a little bit better.
Yeah, for some reason, whenever I mention not liking Runescar, and everybody tells me that they never cast it and it's always a reanimate target. Okay, here's the exact same thing, except you can actually cast it.
Yeah, exactly. You could I would rather just play this every single one of the time. And
also, that's just not true, right? Mana cost matters on cards.
Yeah, mana cost always matters on cards. Like, in the worst case scenario on this card, like, you can sacrifice itself. Like, if you need to pay, if you need a bad 5-mana tutor and you have nothing on the field,
gives you that option.
The situation has been put out there. It's going to sacrifice itself. So I think that the ability to sacrifice itself is better than always having a 6/6 flyer for 2 more mana.
Right. This can kind of. Also, like, just the fact that it is a creature, Runescar's the same thing, but just having it in the graveyard for, like, a mass reanimate, like, Living Death or Rise of the Dark Realms, like, not only do I have all my creatures, I'm going to go get my best card and win the game right now.
Yeah, exactly. So DC is very good. I think it's a mid-power card. I don't think you're going to play this in your CDH.
Yeah, you can't pub stomp with this card.
No, but in your mid-power, this is a very strong card.
Yeah, and I would say the strongest card you could probably play. Is it really a card? No, it's Maraschiello.com.
Maraschiello.com is the best deck building website out there.
Close.
If you're putting together your decks, go on this website, build it,
do it,
see what it's worth. I love that it gives you the price right down at the bottom of the thing. Use any pricing you want. Use your redacted website. Use your redacted, or use Cool Stuff Inc. as one of their options.
That sounds cool.
For how you want your cards priced out. Nitpicking Nerds, every single one of our active decks are on that website. And if you're wondering who plays this deck, or is this an old deck, well, in parentheses on all of our decks, Joe Cherry's current list.
BC's current list. Or retired.
Or retired. Retired will tell you that we used to, or one of us used to, play that list. Everything is on there. And we have a brand new goal. Mm-hmm. We're looking to hit 10,000 followers on Moxfield.com.
To be the first 5-digit followed account on the site.
So help us get there. Moxfield.com. Follow Nitpicking Nerds.
Inflate those numbers, baby. Let's go to Brazen Cannonade. This card is new, and oh boy, it looks real good. It's $4, and it's a 3-red enchantment that says when your attackers die, they deal 2 damage to each opponent, and then at your end step, you exile a card that you can play until your combat on your next turn, so you get your next main phase to play it.
All right, so Brazen Cannonade, I think, was quietly the best card from that Jumpstart. No joke.
Oh, yeah, it was Jumpstart. I was thinking it was a precon, but I think it is Jumpstart.
This is a Jumpstart card. So this is like, I really think this card just like snuck in. Classic Jumpstart where it's like, we're just going to kind of put these out and no one really pays
And
attention
it's
to
like,
them.
wait a minute. If I have a sack outlet, I just throw creatures at people?
Yeah, so you literally, if you get into an attack phase, so you have like 10 creatures.
Blood Artist can't do this much damage.
It's reasonable to say I have 10 creatures, right? In your go wide deck, in your token making deck, in your aristocratic strategy, swing with those 10 creatures. One, they can just choose not to block. Okay, that's their choice. They're like, okay, I don't want to take 2 damage. Say I have all 1/1s.
Yeah.
All right, take all the 1/1s.
Take 10.
You take 10. After damage, still attacking. They're still attacking because this is the rules of Magic the Game. I can then sacrifice them to deal 20 to each of my opponents. This can do so much damage. And then on top of that, what we just said, this is also an impulse draw. This is giving us a Phyrexian Arena effect every turn. All we have to do is attack.
We were pretty stoked about the first half, and there's just another half.
Exactly. You can just send in a 1/1. Okay, they can block it. You deal 2 to each opponent. You lost your 1/1, but now you draw a card because of the raid ability. This card is actually incredible. Very, very strong. I want people to, if you're playing a red-black classic like aristocrat sacrifice strategy, I would seriously try this card, and I think it is very good. And it's only $4. Come on now.
Not for long.
It's only $4.
I would say not for long. Not because we're going to spike it or anything, but I think people will catch on eventually.
I mean, if we're saying it in the video, more people will see it. That is how it works.
True. We're not trying to spec on it. Please don't buy it. I want it for my budget deck.
All right, let's move on to Defense of the Heart, currently $13. At the beginning of your upkeep, if someone controls 3 creatures, any one of your opponents, doesn't matter which one, sacrifice this, go get your best 2 creatures, put them directly onto the battlefield. This card is $13.
It's a tooth and nail.
It's a tooth and nail, and all it requires is you to untap. Players can't avoid going to this many creatures. This is too low of a number of creatures. Players will play out this many creatures eventually, and you will get this trigger. Will it get answered? Some percentage of the time. Mm-hmm. But when it doesn't, how it converts almost it can, if your deck is built right, convert into a win automatically.
Yeah, we talk about just wait until I untap cards generally not being good because you need a whole turn cycle for them to function. But the upside is so high on this that I'm willing to risk it a little bit. And 4 mana, not the biggest investment compared to some of these other creatures. It's like, I got this creature. It deals a bunch of damage when it attacks. It's 7 mana. Like, this is not a creature, so it won't get swept up in a board wipe. They needed some semi-specific answers to get it. And if they don't, you kind of just win.
Yeah, and I mean, this is a weird power level card for me when I look at it because it doesn't go in your CDH section, very high power decks. It doesn't go there.
But like it's crazy powerful.
It's like it's like you want to be playing these 6 to 8 range where players are okay with tutors sometimes, and it's just like it's such a weird card
because it can be a 1-card win.
It can be a 1-card win, or it can be a 1-card put you so far ahead that you are the threat. It's like whatever you want it to be. And that's what I like. That's what I like about some of these tutors is like. You can play this. It can always be a 1-card win. Or you can play it and it can be, hey, put me ahead on board when I want it to.
It just has to scale with whatever your 2 best creatures are. And I think since it got a couple reprints, $13 is not unreasonable.
That's such a good price for it. I mean, the card is amazing. The card is when the card does its thing, it has the ability to win the game. And that is absurd.
Yes, the next card actually has me excited because I didn't know it was only $3. So I'm definitely going to put it in the deck. It's Atali Primal Conqueror. Don't even think of this as another Atali. This is just a different card that's like 10 times better than Atali. Like, Atali who? I don't even care. Because exiling the cards from everybody's deck until you hit a spell from everybody's deck, guaranteed 4 for 1, cast all 4 of them for free right now, and you get a 7/7 Trampler with more words on it. Jesus, this is like one of the best cards in the set.
Yeah, I can already tell you right now, Atali is absurd.
It just goes in every Stompy deck like ever made.
It's really, really good. Now, this is a red-green card, so you need to be playing red-green to play it because it does
kind of a bummer.
It does have that little mana pip down there. But this, I like, it is another Atali. But this Atali is improved. All Atali is good. It's fun. It's giant. It's not a bad card.
It's like I wouldn't even compare this to that because it's so much better.
But this is distinctively better. It's 1 more mana. It is a trample threat. It has another mode on the back, and it is, like you said, automatic 4 for 1. And just so you know, random thing that this does, if you hit like 4 lands in a row, they're exiled forever technically. Not that that's super relevant, but maybe somebody will get you will get someone salty when they miss like 4 land drops and you exile 4 lands off the top with Atali.
Right, trying to hit a non-land, you exile 4 lands. They don't go anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. So I think Atali is just amazing, and I think this is the most playable version of Blightsteel Colossus. Where we're not big on Blightsteel Colossus. I have an honest question because while I'm talking about Blightsteel Colossus for the fans. How do you cheat it in play? I don't know many ways. There are ways to cheat it. Like I'm thinking like Elvish Piper, but I don't think that card's good. Monster Manual.
What are we trying to use?
How are we cheating it in play?
Using Defense of the Heart.
And now Atali just has this on the back. when you don't need to use it.
When it's convenient.
Exactly. It's like the opportunity comes up, I can just do it if I want to. And this card is currently $3, and I don't foresee it getting many reprints. Olvatali is in Precon's lot. This is a two-sided card. We will not be seeing this in Precons.
Yes, and also a weirdly good example right after I talked about Defense of the Heart. Atali, the original, is a just wait till I untap card. It's like, here we go. I'm rearing up for some value, but you can pay one more mana to get all of the value right now, and it has some upside compared to Atali. Whereas like Defense of the Heart, it's like, oh, Tooth and Nail is like a 9 mana card, so you could just play that and get it all right away. But saving 5 mana as opposed to saving 1 mana is a lot more appealing.
Yeah, absolutely. And Atali, one of my favorite cards of all time. The old Atali was already one of my favorite cards of all time. This card is improved, bigger, better, faster, and stronger. Give me a cereal box art. Give me new Atali cereal that gets you sick.
Yes, and we will mercifully go on to the next card for you so we can stop talking about how good Atali is. Lethal Scheme is off the charts good. It's kind of just better than I could have ever hoped for, and I thought it was amazing. It's $3, and it's 2 black, and it has Convoke, which means you really don't have to spend mana on this card. You destroy a creature or a planeswalker, and then each creature that convoked this, so you want to max it out and play it for free with 4 creatures, connives, so you get to draw a discard for each one. So you get to, the best case scenario, which I don't think is unreasonable, destroy a creature for 0 mana, draw 4, discard 4. Like,
well, it is important.
It's slightly worse than that, but I'm not going to say 100 words.
Yeah. It's draw 1, discard 1 4 times.
Net draw 4, discard 4.
Yes, yeah. But so it's a very, very strong ability, and every single time you discard a non-land, you will get a counter on your creature if that's relevant. It doesn't
even more. It's more words.
It doesn't have to be relevant. This card, we talked about it last year in May when it right after it came out. So it was $3. It's still $3. I'm not sure why. This card is incredible. It really is strong. We even have, I hope that Pylon is a budget version of this card for your budget decks. I'm really hoping that's going to be true. Players should be playing more Lethal Schemes. If your deck plays a decent number of creatures, and this can be cast reliably for 1-2 mana, get it in your deck.
If you don't have that much of a budget, if you can afford to spend $3 on a Magic card, and you play Murder, talk about upgrades.
There's this upgrades over a lot of cards. Free spells. The ability to be a free spell makes this card go from like, hey, it's a pretty good card to amazing.
Yeah, players are not going to see this coming, which is even better. Strip Mine. Did you know about Strip Mine? It's a land that destroys lands, and it's $13. And I just think to myself of all these problematic lands that just kind of dominate games just by existing, and it almost feels weird when the whole game revolves around a land and you've never drawn a land answer that game, so you just kind of sit there awkwardly.
Strip Mine has just always been here, always been just in this format, sitting around, dominating. It is so good. It is a free roll all of the time, and it's quiet. This card is weirdly quiet because it's just like, oh, I'm just Strip Mine. I don't do much, and then once in a while, I'm the most important thing that happens
your game.
all game. Oh, we got rid of that Nykthos, that Cabal Coffers,
Field of the Dead.
Field of the Dead. Guys could all these important lands, and what did it cost me? I had to play a colorless land in my 2-color deck. Oh, no.
Oh, no. Yeah, Strip Mine's really, really great. If you're looking for a budget version and you still, like if you don't play land destruction, single target, of course, in your deck, get Demolition Field. That's the budget version of this card. It's still great. I think Strip Mine might be the GOAT still. We'll see as time goes on and I get to play more with Demolition Field, but $13 is nothing for me to be able to have such a powerful addition to my deck when I could maybe cut a basic or some bad utility land for it.
I think that Strip Mine will always remain the GOAT because it's tough to beat what Strip Mine does because it also doubles into a win con when you're playing a landfall deck.
You can loop it.
This is a loopable card that can just win you one-on-one situations, continuously remove the best lands, play it within a Azusa and a Raminette Excavator. Oh my god, nobody wants to play against that.
Right, I mean, you're just destroying every land that matters. Just Strip Mine, still powerful. Don't forget about it.
Moving on, we have Ugin the Virgin. This is a 6-mana planeswalker. Your colorless spells cost 2 less to cast. Plus, put the top card face down when this, and then you get a 2/2 spirit. And when that 2/2 spirit dies, you get that card to your hand, minus to destroy target colored permanent. And this is just, this is Ugin the Virgin. That's what it is. It comes in with 5 loyalty, I believe, or 4.
4.
Whatever. Who cares?
You want the static. It really is almost an enchantment.
Yes. You play this as an enchantment. Yes, it has the ability to be a removal spell. It has the ability to draw you cards. The main thing is that we can take advantages right away. We're going to play this in a super heavy colorless deck so that we can slam down this and then get discount. And we can pretty much, if you have the right card in your hand, you can just get all the discount that you spent on this card right away in other cards.
Like you can start going 0 mana Signet, 0 mana Mind Stone, tap them for like Hedron Archive, and now you can play like a 4-drop with it and just go off. And It's like, would you, in an artifact deck, a heavy colorless artifact deck, would you play a 6-mana enchantment that either draws a card or destroys the best permanent your opponent's control that enters that says your stuff costs less? The problem is it can be attacked, so it's not going to be the most sticky thing in the world. So, but maybe if you plus it, it'll last longer. But you're going to flood the board right after you play it.
Yeah, exactly. You can just get so much out of it. This is a weird ramp spell planeswalker. Like there's like 2 planeswalkers that are ramp spells, 3 maybe. There's not many.
Well, there's a few that suck.
Well, I mean, I was thinking of the good ones, Kiora and like Garrick. Like those two.
You're thinking of Zhang Yangu.
That was not. I can believe it or not. I was not thinking of Zhang Yangu. I don't even know what that card does at the top of my head.
Oh, bummer. How about the next card?
Well, it's another overrun effect. We talked about Coat of Arms. How about a generic one for any, white deck that's going to be beaten down? True Conviction, currently $4. 3 triple white for an enchantment. Your creatures have double strike and lifelink. It's that simple. What I really love about this card is the lifelink side, because all your creatures have double strike is strong, and that's like the part for the overrun. But the fact that your creatures have lifelink now puts you in a position where you can just swing out.
No fear.
You throw all your creatures down, you just turn them sideways, and you gain so much life that it doesn't matter what the backswing is. Unless it's absurd, like a Crater of Behemoth, you're not dying.
Right. And I would say if your deck is only 1/1s and you can never pump them anyway, maybe don't go with this card. But if you have 3/3s out and you can pump your creatures with like maybe mild Lord effects or even big effects, this turns other cards like, even Coat of Arms or like Cathar's Crusade into just absolute hammers. It's a complete 1-2 punch. You maybe only need one of those to win a game, but having both sometimes happens, and it's just even better. This is more of a like combat meta where combos aren't really a thing that you have to worry about, because if there's combos that are possible in a game, looking at True Conviction, and I'm pretty sad.
And something to remember about Double Strike and True Conviction is that it scales with the powers of your creatures, like BZ was mentioning. So if you're playing 4/4 tokens, like something like an Catcher deck, where it's consistently making 4/4 tokens, this card is much better, because when you're doubling a 1/1, it's doing 2 damage. When you're doubling a 4/4, it's dealing 8 damage. You get the bigger your creatures are, the more advantage Double Strike gives you.
Right, yeah. If it's on a 4/4 and you attack, it's a 4-point life swing. But with True Conviction, it's a 12-point life swing. Yes. But a 1/1 is either 1 or 3 or 4. 4.
Got there.
1 or 4.
All right, another card I'm surprised we have never talked about in this Most Worth Buying series. It is Life from the Loam.
The GOAT.
Currently $10. 1 and a green, return up to 3 lands from your graveyard to your hand. Dredge 3. So it can replace your draw. Dredge is replace your draw. So instead of drawing, you mill the top 3 and put Life from the Loam back in your hand. This card fuels itself. It will be putting lands in the graveyard. It is one of the best landfall cards in the entire format. It is super absurd in that it fills your graveyard, gets you lands. You're not going to miss land drops. And in your landfall decks, you're already playing extra land drops. So all your fetch lands, all right, I'll play my fetch land, play my fetch land. Fetch. Okay, Life from the Loam, then both back. Next turn, mill over 2. I mill over a land. Okay, I'll get back all 3.
They're all 2 landfall triggers each.
Yeah, I'll play 2 more of my fetch lands. I have the other land in my hand. This card is really absurd. And there's just so many ways to take advantage of it. And when you use this card to be like a ramp spell in combination with stuff like, extra land drops, like Azusa is like one of the main ones.
Exploration.
This card is so good. I think what's weird about this card is when you draw it by itself, it's weak. It's in this weird spot. But you don't play this card in a deck that like is just playing Life from the Loam. No. That's not what you do. You're playing it in a deck that is based all around the lands. So now when this card is matched up with any one other piece, it turns into a house.
This card also kind of just slots into graveyard decks. It mills you for 3 without you really doing a whole lot, especially if it's already milled into the graveyard. And it just makes sure you never miss a land drop for like the rest of the game.
Yeah, that's completely fair. See, I've never really played this in the graveyard deck, but I have.
It's been pretty good.
But I don't play as many graveyard decks.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, it's been pretty solid. You don't have to have exploration in your deck. It's just good. Turn 2 Life from the Loam, getting back nothing is actually fine. I don't even feel bad about that.
Yeah, in your graveyard deck where
it just fuels itself. It's like, okay, let's see if I hit a land, and then I put it back in my hand.
And we do these every single month, so check out last month's video where we tell you the cards most worth buying for April.
You're going to learn so much.
Peace out, Tribe Scouts.